I'll be looking at the whole conversation around the oil sector, the crude for Naira or Naira for crude conversation. You're aware that October 1, federal government did say they had begun the sale of crude to Dangote refineries in Naira. We're looking at how all of this would impact the economy. I'm sure for you, if there's anything you want to know as Nigerians, is if this would drag down the price of that commodity. Yes, I'm sure that's what you're all looking forward to hearing. So we're looking at Naira for crude, assessing the impact on Nigeria's economy. Bamidele Ayemibo joins us right about now. He's an international business development and trade finance expert. So good to have you on the show, Bamidele.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Yes, there's so much to be discussed around the oil sector in Nigeria. So much to be discussed, but let's see how we can stay with the Naira for crude conversation and see how we can educate and enlighten Nigerians on the possibilities that this comes with for the country. For a start, do you see these as the way to go? I know I've had quite a number of interviews with experts who had said that if we must bring down the price of PMS in Nigeria, then Dangote refineries should be getting the commodity in Naira. So I don't know how this comes to you. Is this like what you've expected over the years or otherwise?
Thank you very much. A very important question. It's just like an individual, a nation, a company, an organization. You want to increase your earnings. You want to grow your wealth, rather. Yeah. It's either you reduce your costs, increase your earning, or do both. So we currently have FX issue in Nigeria. So it's either we increase generation of FX, reduce consumption of FX, or we do both. So what has happened here now is to reduce the consumption of FX. Currently, FS constitute, the FS usage is about 30%, at least every year, minimum of 30% of the total import. In 2022, our import was almost about $68 billion, and 30% of that, 30%, that's about $20 billion, is for consumption or is for import of PMS. Not talk of all other items being imported into the country. So that's a lot, actually. So, and this is the whole idea of countries. When you say a productive country tends to have a strong currency, the reason is because that country will not have to be demanding too much for foreign exchange. And because of a law of demand and supply, the lower the demand, of course, the lower the price. And that's exactly what happens. So what we expect to see is to see a respite on the exchange rate, but that's not enough for us to stay. This can just, in my opinion, will stabilize. Let's see what happened within the last quarter of the year, stabilize and probably reduce a little, but at least prevent the pressure, reduce the pressure on Naira. But we still need to do much more. Because now that we have taken up the major consumption of FX, we then need to also begin to do something to grow the volume of FX generated by the country, particularly from the non-oil export and non-oil sector.
The argument is still a bit not very straight for me, because when you begin to look at the quantity of crude that Dangote will be getting in Naira, that in itself would negatively impact on the crude earnings that Nigeria will be expecting in dollars as well. So when you place both side by side, would you rather have wished that we had sold this crude in Naira to get dollar earnings, or better still, we sell to Dangote in Naira? Let's talk about our dollar earnings right now.
I love that thought. And the reason is because you're very correct. But what we should then look at is, are there other ways to generate effect? Because the issue is this: if we don't do what the government is doing right now, it will still make us to. We are going to increase the pressure on Naira. Number one. Number two, we're going to be subject to too much volatility in change of rate of dollar, which is a major challenge. Now, because Naira is Nigerian currency, so government can decide, okay, we want to sell it to you at this price, and you will pay in Naira. So even if the dollar value of crude is $100 per barrel, for example, government can decide to give Dangote a discount, and government can get, and it can be paid in Naira. Now, of course, that will not make us to get the dollar we're expecting in crude oil. But the fact is this: currently, I mean, between January and now, we're not exporting the crude, the little we are producing, even though we're not producing to our capacity, but we're not getting that value in the economy because government also took a lot of loan that need to be paid back, and some of these products are already pre-sold. Some of the products are already pre-sold. That's one. Two, there is other option for us to be able to generate FS. So this for me should begin to make us look at other options. There's a lot of solid mineral. Minister Adela Alake, Minister of Solid Mineral, is already talking a lot about this. And the agri commodity also is another area. So there's so many other options for us that we can actually generate a lot of FS from. So this should make us begin to not just diversify in wealth, but now begin to do the diversification indeed.
Bobby Dele, we've been on this matter for as much as 3 decades. We've been discussing diversifying the nation's economy. Up until now, we are still discussing diversifying the nation's economy. What do you think are the bottlenecks? Why it's been too difficult to indeed diversify the nation's economy? I don't know. I've been trying to think about it. I know we need the oil money to indeed diversify the economy. Diversify the economy. But we don't seem to prioritize diversification. We've seen governments come and governments go, and it's been lip service to the conversation around diversifying the nation's economy.
You know, it's the nature of human. Necessity is the mother of invention. Nigeria is a place where a governor can sleep, do nothing, from January 1 to January 31st, and the governor can pay salary. The fact that the governor will pay salary, even if nothing is done to increase his earning, is an incentive not to bother about generating more income, because of what someone called the feeding body federalism, in which we all go to Abuja every month to collect allocation. So if I don't know how this will start. I know it's a constitutional matter, because by the time a governor in Nigeria knows that if I get to that place, if I don't use my brain and assemble a team and increase earning, nothing for me. And that means I will be chased out of the place. I'll be disgraced out of the place. Maybe that will also help our politics, because the fact that the money coming is so much, even when the governor is doing nothing, is a major challenge. Why we have so much violence. I heard now that a number of people now say, they are going back to local government to go and do join politics in the local level, because the money now will cascade down to local level, not just the state receiving now. The local government is going now to be receiving billions every month, and people now are interested in the local politics. Why? Because of the money they're going to make from it. So imagine if they are not going to make that money, they need to do the work to get that money, then we'll be able to see what we need to do. So the reason why we are not diversifying yet, or we're not doing much in that regard, is we have option. The day we don't have the option, and we are not going to be able to get that money if you don't think of what you can do within your state to be able to increase your earning. Of course, it's either you perish or you produce. You can begin to see the need for production, supporting necessary productive activity in the state to be able to generate effort. So in my opinion, the governors have options, the nation have options of getting money through other channels to be able to meet their obligation. That's why the diversification is still in words and not in deeds.
All right, we think we have options. We think we have options, and I think it's a sad place to be where we keep thinking we have options. However, our options seem to be slipping off on a daily basis. We've had reduced production of crude oil in recent times, and we are not even looking at the possibility of increasing all of that. We also did hear that oil would dry up in a couple of years. We're also aware that conversations are around cleaner forms of energy, where attentions are going to move from crude oil. So in a couple of years, our buyers will not be buying our crude oil anymore, and we can't drink it, so it becomes worthless. The value will drop. But I'm sure in the minds of many Nigerians, and what they would want to hear is, will this crude for oil or Naira for crude bring down the pump price of PMS and other materials from crude? Would it bring down the price of PMS? Nigerians want answers.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so because, you know, Dangote have cost to producing the PMS, number one. Number two, because he has cost to producing it, and the government, what Dangote have Naira, because it generates a lot of Naira from other business activity in Nigeria. So meaning it will be easier for him to buy without looking for effects. It doesn't mean Nigerian government is going to reduce the price. So I think the way crude oil price will come down in Nigeria is the Nigerian government with NNPCL reducing the price. They are selling crude oil to Dangote because it's garbage in, garbage out. If Nigerian government is saying crude oil, let's say it's
look at it from this perspective.
$50 per barrel, for example.
Look at it, Ayemibo. Look at it. Now, the crude will be sold to Dangote in Naira at the corresponding daily rate at the NAFEX market for foreign exchange. So, at what point can we begin to see a drop, or rather an appreciation of the Naira, whereby that will further impact on how much Dangote would now be selling his petroleum products, or rather would now be buying the crude from federal government, which also would now impact the price of the price they sell to us, the consumers. So the bottom line here is if we must get the price of PMS down, how do we get the value of our Naira to appreciate? That's the only way to go.
Yes, like I said, I was about making that point before you interject, that the fact that I feel bringing down the price is dependent on the price the government is selling. Two major issues there: the price of the crude itself at a discount to Dangote. Number two, the exchange rate being used to sell to Dangote. So the government have the fork, the knife and the yam here. Everything lies on the government. So government now have to check revenue generation for the government vis-a-vis the pain on Nigerians. So I believe strongly that price can come down. The government is going to sell crude to Dangote, give Dangote discount at which you are selling the crude to Dangote. Also, do not use the FX price at the NAFEM. Can you give a discount also on FX? Whatever needs to be done by the government. Now, the government is spending a lot to cushion the effect. So the fund you could have used to cushion the effect in other areas, the fund you are using to help with CNG, the fund you are using for food, all those funds, part of the budget the government have to as palliative for the people, let it be used as discount for the oil price being sold to Dangote and the exchange rate. So if the government drive down that price at which Dangote is getting the crude in Naira, it will impact on the people and it will drive down the inflation. So I strongly believe the government still have what it takes to impact on the price that Dangote is going to sell. So the government know at this point it's not going to be about profitability because government is making money from other parts, but rather what we need to do to reduce the impact of this issue on the people. Don't sell crude oil to Dangote and the price in the international market, and don't sell crude oil to Dangote at an exchange rate that is also high as seen in the NAFEM. I think that will be able to drive down the price, and the government can do that.
I like the part where you said it shouldn't be about profitability for the government. However, the NNPC is also in the heart of this conversation, and the NNPC, like we all know, is now a private liability company. They are also a profit-making enterprise. So I don't know how government would balance this. However, the news making the rounds has it that the NNPC had promised to disengage in this middleman with Dangote on PMS. I don't know how all of this will play out in this whole configuration or this whole conversation.
No, that I think is necessary because, you know, Dangote is a private entity. We know NNPC have a lot of opacity in the way they do their things. So now, Dangote dealing directly with marketers is going to do two things for us. Number one, Dangote can easily tell, this is the price I'm selling to marketers. Negotiate with each marketer at the price best known to them. Number two, it will also help Dangote to be able to track. Dangote said he can track every crude oil loaded either on vessel or on truck. They can put tracker on it and track where that good is going. And Dangote can then know this good we sold to you. You took it to Niger. We are not going to sell it to you again. You are not going to buy from us again. Go and import. Why? Because if we are able to track, Dangote can be able to give us exact figure of what Nigeria is using. So bringing NNPC in, adding margin to it, is increasing the cost on Nigerian people. So why should we just put a lot of unnecessary bottleneck in place to make life difficult for the people? So putting that, I think, make a lot of sense. My sense is, it's most likely Dangote is trying to be very straight and professional, and NNPC knowing what they are, and a lot of places that people have complained about in the past, it's not making it to work effectively with Dangote. I'm suspecting probably that's the reason why they pulled out.
So how then will the NNPC be making its profit? Because they are also a profit-making enterprise. They are answerable to their shareholders.
Let me say something. I want to say something. Thank you for that. I mean, reminder the question. You know, I made a statement that government have a budget for palliatives. So if you are saying NNPC should reduce, so for example, NNPC want to sell at let's use Naira. NNPC want to sell at, let's say, 200 Naira per barrel or 150 Naira per barrel. Government can use the palliative. It's just like a business who want to enter a new market. If in entering a new market, I can sell at a discount in that market, and it will be a loss because I already have a budget for marketing. Because I have a budget for marketing, part of the budget of my cost of marketing, I will use to cover the price because I'm reducing my cost of market entry because I want to be profitable in that market. I can even sell at a loss in that market, but because I have a budget for marketing, it covers that cost and I won't be at a loss again. That's exactly what the government can do. The budget the government has for palliative, discuss with NNPCL and cover that cost. So NNPCL can sell this into Dangote at a cheaper rate. We should not be profitable, profiting on this transaction. We want to reduce, because at the end of the day, it's going to help the government. It's going to help the government to look good. It's going to drive down inflation because most of the challenge we're having right now is FX issue and, of course, the price of PMS. So it's going to significantly drive down inflation if we're able to do this. So government should use whatever budget it has, part of that budget, give it to NNPC and use it to drive down. Use it to enable NNPC to give this product to Dangote at a discount in order to reduce the cost of PMS for Nigerian people.
No, some fears have been expressed in some quarters, which borders on which is the lesser evil here. Is it the inefficiencies of the NNPC, corruption and inefficiencies of the NNPC, or a Dangote monopoly? I don't know which should be a lesser evil for us here. Now,
the challenge here is this. The challenge we are having is this. The Dangote has this. Dangote monopoly. In this case, I won't say Dangote as a monopoly, sincerely. And the reason I won't say Dangote as a monopoly is this. Because Dangote is not stopping someone else from starting this project. Or, I understand, BUA is building its own refinery also somewhere in the south. So at the end of the day, you know, they might not be able to build at the scale at which Dangote has done it. But the fact that Dangote has done it, what I foresee in another 5-10 years in Nigeria is seeing a situation in which we see more refineries in Nigeria. Because there's a lot of market in Africa, not just Nigeria. And that will be a competition for Dangote. I also heard that the NNPC is trying to sell or get private organization to help in managing some of the refineries, maybe Kaduna or Port Harcourt refinery, that will also compete with Dangote. So what the government should do is to make those refineries work and empower other people that want to start to be able to ensure there's competition for Dangote. But at this point, I don't think Dangote has helped Nigeria to be able to ensure we have this product available. Only that it's at the price we might not be okay with, which is where the government comes in to see how we can have a budget to support. In fact, in my opinion right now, if government want to subsidize, this is a good time to subsidize. Because now subsidy can go straight to the people supplying the crude oil. And Dangote can track the truck. such that at the end of the day we won't be subsidizing the neighbor. So this is a good time for government to support as much as possible and ensure that other people come in, give them incentive to get other people to come into the sector.
Well, thank you so very much. It's a perfect place to anchor this conversation. Thank you for your insight to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and bye-bye.
Have a great day.